Vanakkam. Welcome to the second session of the hand surgery quiz, the fun way to learn hand surgery. Question number 1. What fracture is this? A Bennett fracture, a Rolando fracture, a Boxer's fracture, or a Barton fracture? The correct answer is Rolando fracture. The Rolando fracture is a three-part or comminuted intra-articular fracture dislocation of the base of the thumb, that is the proximal portion of the first metacarpal. You can make out the comminution here, which can be in the form of a Y or a T at the base of the first metacarpal of this fracture. The Bennett fracture, on the other hand, is a non-comminuted fracture of the base of the first metacarpal bone, which extends into the carpometacarpal joint. This is the most common fracture of the thumb, and it is usually accompanied by subluxation or dislocation of the carpometacarpal joint due to the pull of the abductor pollicis longus tendon on the distal segment, which consists of the metacarpal and the thumb. The Boxer's fracture is a fracture of the neck of the fifth metacarpal, named for the classic mechanism of injury in which direct trauma is applied to a clenched fist, and is the most common of fractures on the hand, representing about 10%. The Barton fracture is a fracture of the distal radius which extends through the dorsal aspect of the articular surface with associated dislocation of the radiocarpal joint. However, since there is no disruption of the radiocarpal ligaments, the articular surface of the fractured distal radius remains in contact with the proximal carpal row, as you can see in the X-ray. Question number 2. Who is this surgeon who has contributed greatly to leprosy surgery? Hariharan Srinivasan, Ernest P. Fritchie, Dinkar Palande, or Noshir Hormasji Antia? The correct answer is Dinkar D. Palande. Dinkar D. Palande was Chief Surgeon of Sacred Heart Leprosy Center at Kumbakonam in South India from 1969 till his retirement in 1989. The intrinsic reactivation surgery for correction of claw hands has been described by him and is known popularly as the Palande operation. In 2013, the International Federation of Societies for Surgery of the Hand recognized him as a pioneer in hand surgery. The Reverend Dr. Ernest Paul Fritchie was director of the Sheffield Institute of Health Research and Leprosy Center at Karigiri in Tamil Nadu from 1956 to 59 and then again from 1974 to 87. He was awarded the Damian Dutton Award in 2006. The biography of Dr. Ernest Paul Fritchie is titled Living with Challenge. Dr. Fritchie has authored a book titled Reconstructive Surgery in Leprosy, which serves as a primer for many surgeons beginning to do leprosy surgery. Dr. H. Srinivasan has also done pioneering work in leprosy surgery. He received the Jalma Trust Fund Oration Award in 1979 by the Indian Council for Medical Research and awarded the Padma Shri in 1984. He was declared the IFSSH Pioneer of Hand Surgery in 2007. His book, The Prevention of Disabilities in Patients with Leprosy, a Practical Guide, is an excellent reference book for those attempting to do surgery in leprosy. Dr. N. H. Antia, or Noshir Hormasji Antia, was the founder of 3 notable non-governmental organizations working in the field of rehabilitation of patients with leprosy, cured or otherwise, and the Government of India awarded him the 4th highest civilian award of Padma Shri in 1990. One of the books co-authored by him is The Surgical Management of Deformities in Leprosy, and the other is The Peripheral Nerve in Leprosy and Other Neuropathies. Question number 3. The Steiner lesion is associated with the following injury: the radial collateral ligament injury of the interphalangeal joint of thumb, the ulnar collateral ligament injury of the metacarpophalangeal joint of the thumb, the radial collateral ligament injury of the metacarpophalangeal joint of the thumb, or the ulnar collateral ligament injury of the carpometacarpal joint of the thumb. And the correct answer is ulnar collateral ligament injury of the metacarpophalangeal joint of the thumb. The cut ulnar collateral ligament lies under the cover of the adductor aponeurosis of the thumb. When there is a further valgus strain to the proximal phalanx of the thumb, the adductor aponeurosis moves onto the radial side, and this uncovers the proximal cut end of the ulnar collateral ligament, which protrudes from under the proximal edge of the aponeurosis. This protruding portion of the proximal end of the ulnar collateral ligament cannot heal because the adductor aponeurosis is now interposed between it and its corresponding end on the distal side. And this lesion is called the Steiner's lesion. It warrants surgical management only. This was described in 1962. Question number 4. Holding the patient's thumb and forcibly abducting the wrist ulnarwards is the Eckhoff test, the Fallon test, the Allen test, or the Finkelstein test. The correct answer is the Finkelstein test. The Finkelstein maneuver or the test was described by Harry Finkelstein, an American surgeon, in 1930. The involved hand is allowed to hang over the edge of the examination couch. The examiner grasps the terminal phalangeal region of the thumb and adducts the thumb and ulnar deviates the wrist. A positive test will be shown by pain at the level of the lower end of the radius on the radial side of the wrist. The Eckhoff test was described in 1927 and is also a provocative test like the Finkelstein maneuver. But we need to be careful about performing this maneuver as it may cause extreme pain to the patient. The Finkelstein test consisted of just holding the thumb of the patient and ulnar deviating the wrist. But in the Eckhoff maneuver, the patient is asked to adduct the thumb, place it on the palm, and close the fist using all the other fingers. In this position, the examiner holds the entire fist and ulnar deviates the wrist. Severe pain at the wrist will indicate a positive response. Question number 5. How would you describe this congenital difference in the thumb? Is it Bloch type 4 or Wassel type 4, Bloch type 3 or Wassel type 3? And the correct answer is Wassel type 4. The Wassel classification is for classification of duplication of the thumb. When the terminal phalanx is partially duplicated, it is type 1, and when it is completely duplicated, it is type 2. When the proximal phalanx is partially duplicated, it is type 3, and when the proximal phalanx is completely duplicated, it is type 4 as was asked in the question. When the metacarpal bone is partially duplicated, it is type 5, and when it is completely duplicated, it is type 6 of Wassel classification. On the other hand, the Bloch classification is a classification system for hypoplasia of the thumb, and there are totally 5 types. The first type of hypoplasia is a slightly smaller thumb. When there is also a hypoplasia of the thenar muscles, it is classified as type 2, and when there is hypoplasia of the metacarpal bone with or without the carpometacarpal joint, it is classified as type 3. The floating thumb is classified as type 4, and total absence of thumb is type 5. Question number 6. What is this instrument? A Gelpi self-retaining retractor, a Weitlahner self-retaining retractor, a Metzenbaum self-retaining retractor, or an Arms self-retaining retractor? The answer is ARMS self-retaining retractor. This is the GELP self-retaining retractor. This is a Weightliner retractor, and this is the ARMS self-retaining retractor. Question number 7. In opponent's plasty, when a tendon transfer is being done, the technique of inserting one slip of the transferred tendon to the abductor pollicis brevis and the extensor pollicis longus, and the second slip to the adductor, is the technique of Brand, Bunnell, Riordan or Littler. And the answer is Brand. Having decided on the motor and having decided the route the transferred tendon should follow, we now need to decide on the insertion that we are going to provide. The options for insertion are the Brand's technique, where the transferred tendon is slit into two, one to the abductor pollicis brevis and the extensor pollicis longus, and the second slip to the adductor pollicis. The Littler's technique, where it is inserted only into the abductor pollicis brevis tendon. The Riordan technique, where the tendon is woven into the insertion of the abductor pollicis brevis and then sutured to the extensor pollicis longus. The Bunnell's technique, where the transferred tendon is inserted through a drill hole in the base of the proximal phalanx. And Dr. K. Sridhar's technique, where two slips are taken, one inserted into the abductor pollicis brevis and the second slip inserted into the metacarpophalangeal joint capsule and the extensor pollicis longus, passing volar to the axis of the metacarpophalangeal joint. Question number 8. The following are phases of a developing hemangioma except proliferating phase, inflammatory phase, involuting phase, involuted phase. And the correct answer is the inflammatory phase, which is not a phase of a developing hemangioma. There are three phases in the development of a hemangioma: the proliferating phase, which lasts up to 1 year, the involuting phase, which lasts from 1 to 5 years or more, and the involuted phase, which is after 5 years. The next question: which is the main blood vessel supplying the ulnar nerve on which it can be raised as a vascularized nerve flap? The superior ulnar recurrent artery, the anterior ulnar recurrent artery, the superior ulnar collateral artery, or the ulnar artery recurrent branch? The correct answer is the superior ulnar collateral artery, otherwise known as the SUCA. It originates from the brachial artery below the level of the middle of the arm. It then pierces the medial intermuscular septum along with the ulnar nerve and descends on the surface of the medial head of the triceps muscle to the space between the medial epicondyle and the olecranon, all the time accompanying the ulnar nerve, and ultimately ends under the flexor carpi ulnaris muscle by anastomosing with the posterior ulnar recurrent branch and the inferior ulnar collateral artery. Question number 10. Horner syndrome consists of the following except mydriasis, ptosis, anhidrosis or anophthalmos? And the correct answer is mydriasis. In Horner syndrome, we have meiosis, ptosis, anhidrosis, and anophthalmos. So, when there is a disruption of either the first order neurons, second order neurons, or the third order neurons of the oculosympathetic pathway, Horner syndrome can result. Avulsion of the C8 and T1 segments is one such cause. There may be a contribution from the T2, but it is quite small. So this explains the features of meiosis, ptosis, reverse ptosis, and pseudoanophthalmos, along with anhidrosis of the ipsilateral side of the face. This shows the upper lid ptosis
occurring in the Horner syndrome, and since the Müller's muscle of the lower eyelid is also paralyzed, the level of the lower eyelid is at a higher plane. This is called the reverse ptosis. Since both ptosis and reverse ptosis are present, the palpebral fissure is narrowed and gives the appearance of a smaller eye. This is called the apparent enophthalmos.
I hope you liked this second session of the hand surgery quiz, the fun way to learn hand surgery. Please comment on whether you found it difficult or easy, and most importantly, whether you found it useful. And please scan this QR code with your mobile to instantly access the YouTube channel to see the latest in learning hand surgery.